Let's get into the Texans-Chiefs. Texans' offensive approach. The stuff that worked against the Chargers' good defense. How will it match up against Spags? Chris Jones, now he's getting healthier.
Right.
What will they look like, C.J. Stroud in the offense and Mixon against the Chiefs' defense?
Yeah, they played the Chiefs Week 16. Chris Jones, as I recall, did not play in that game. I think that in an ideal world, the way the Texans would like to play is they'd like to have the run game be a starting point, work the play-action pass game off of it, have C.J. Stroud be very rhythmic and timing-based, which he was last week, and therefore he looked pretty comfortable for most of that game. That's the way they would like to play. Then they can work Collins on the outside, and there are some really good matchups there because no corner in this league has played more pressed man than Trent McDuffie, who's now pretty exclusively an outside corner, does not play in the slot hardly at all over the last number of weeks. So that's the way they'd like to play. Now, if their defense can keep the game together, they can continue to play that way. That's the way they played last week against the Chargers because Mixon did not have, he only had 6 carries in the first half for 15 yards, but because of their defense and because of the game flow, they were able to give him the ball in the second half where I believe he had 19 carries. And I think in the fourth quarter, 18 of their 21 plays were called runs. So this is the way they would like to play, but that becomes a function of their defense, Colin. And, it's always hard to assess Patrick Mahomes because he's such a great player. And when the playoffs come, we see him raise his game to an incredibly high level. But all we have is the season, and the Chiefs were not an explosive offense during the season, but they've also had a lot of time off, and players are going to be refreshed and healthy.
Yeah, the Chiefs also, not only are they going to be refreshed and healthy, but they're also getting players back that they did not have throughout this season. So, I don't think we can necessarily compare to what we saw the Chiefs do in week 7 to what we see now in the playoffs. But, here I really just want to talk directly to Houston Texans fans and be like, what are your thoughts on this game right now? And this is going to be a game that I'm going to live stream. I'm going to live stream this game on Saturday, so definitely please check it out. Kansas City fans and, Texans fans. It would be a lot of fun. Did it for the Vikings and Rams playoff game. So definitely please check it out. Definitely looking forward to it. But that aside, I'm just curious how Texans fans feel in terms of it doesn't seem like anyone's really giving them a chance. And even the spread, 8.5, that's a healthy one. And you're on the road against Patrick Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs, and I already laid out how in a first things first video where if CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are able to win this game, it'll rock the NFL world, and it will catapult CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, and just from legacy building, let alone just brand building, will be huge. But for the most part, though, it just doesn't really seem that anyone's giving them a chance. Greg Cosell is pretty much implying that the defense really has to be able to slow down the Chiefs and just kind of keep it at least close for the Texans to continue to play the way that they want to play. And it's funny because he kind of said something similar about the Philadelphia Eagles that I had already just made a whole video talking about. And it's very clear that, for the Philadelphia Eagles, it's very clear. It's very clear that's how they want to play, and that's their approach. But, a win here for the Houston Texans and specifically C.J. Stroud, this would be a career-defining moment to go on the road to Arrowhead in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes, off the bye, Andy Reid, Spags, this dynasty, going for the three-peat. It's just it's just massive. Massive. And you're going to need high-level play as well as high levels of belief. I do not feel the way how the Texans started off that game, they felt like that they were going to win against the Chargers. That was not my read. I don't have my notes with me right now, but I remember writing in the very beginning of because it felt like the Chargers were going to lose this game. And it was just I was just writing, Chargers do not want to play right now. They do not look engaged. They do not look comfortable. They do not look like they believe that they're going to win. And again, when you compare that to how the Commanders came out, it was they came out of the game like their hair was on fire. it was like, we are going to win this game. And the fans even took over that stadium. That's the energy that the Texans are going to need. You're not going to just be able to like casually play against the Kansas City Chiefs and come away with the win. It's just not going to happen. You know they're going to be all in. You know it. The one benefit is because someone said in the comment section, and I disagreed with them, where they were just like, oh, Spags and Andy, they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this. And it's like, yes and no. Because I feel like they were probably hedging their bets and believing that they were going to play the Chargers. They probably believed that they were going to play the Chargers. I'm sure, I mean, listen, these are two veteran, obviously very, very high level, well-accomplished coaches. So I don't think that they were like, oh, we're going to play the Chargers. And they went all in on game planning for the Chargers. But I think, this is pretty much just a week. Yeah, they have the bye because they have extra rest now. But in traditional buys, like, who you're playing. Not in the playoffs, of course. But in traditional buys, like, we are playing the Houston Texans off this bye because it's been on the schedule for months now. So, yeah, the advantage of the bye is rest or rust. I don't believe the Chiefs will be rusty because, again, that's the benefit of having someone like Andy Reid and having true veterans like Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones. Like, these guys have been here. They know what to do. They know how to prepare. But some of these other guys, I don't know. Maybe. So the Texans have to, from the jump, continue to keep the game close and make the Kansas City Chiefs really just more uncomfortable. Make them feel like, uh-oh. Even though they pretty much never feel like, uh-oh, because it's always like, oh, we got a chance. But we've seen that when games are close for the Kansas City Chiefs, like, things get weird. We saw it for the Raiders. We saw it for the Broncos. We saw it for the Bills. We saw it. The most in control, outside of them clearly playing an inferior team, the most in control that I saw them be was against the Ravens in week 1. That was a game where it was like, oh yeah, the Ravens, even though this game is like kind of close, for the most part, it felt like the Chiefs were in control of that game the entire time. I did not feel like the Chiefs were in control of the game against the Raiders, against the Chargers, against the Bills, against the Broncos. I did not get that sense. So if you can keep it close, make them uncomfortable, and make it feel like you're in control of this game, you're in control, you're setting the terms and not allowing them to, that's a difference. Because again, otherwise, you're not going to be able to play the way in which you want to be able to play. And as Greg actually highlighted before, that's how the Texans were able to beat the Chargers. The Chargers were unable to play how they wanted to play. They could not establish the run. They could not get anything going. And therefore, their offense was, they were forced to throw the ball in ways that's not what makes their team good. That's not how they win their games. And the Texans were able to completely take advantage of that. They made them play left-handed. Is there a way for the Texans to be able to do that for the Chiefs? I'd argue that the Chiefs are ambidextrous. So if you make them play with the left hand, they'll still be able to play well. So that's why it's like this offense has to get some momentum going, has to keep going, has to put that pressure on them. And again, will they be able to do that? People don't believe they can. And so how do Texans fans feel? Do you believe, bro, relax, we got this? That's what I want to hear. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Houston Texans? Any expectations for the offense versus Kansas City Chiefs defense? And I'll also add, how do you think the Houston Texans defense will fare against the Kansas City Chiefs offense? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.